Hi, my name's Olivia McMahon, and my sustainability case study topic is the melting of sea ice and the impacts on the water cycle. The main ideas we'll be going over is how is the melting of sea ice impacting the climate, what is the water cycle, how can the melting of sea ice impact the Earth's oceans and the water cycle, and what future trends might we observe if we continue to lose sea ice due to warming. First up is how is the melting of sea ice impacting our climate? Sea ice is frozen water that forms, expands, and melts in the ocean. The main forms consist of icebergs, glaciers, ice sheets, and ice shelves. Sea ice forms due to cold regions. Sea ice only exists in polar regions and takes an effect on global ocean temperatures and the movement of water in the ocean. It can stay year-round in some regions, but in most regions it melts during the summer and expands during the winter. The brightness of the sea ice reinforces the coldness, so when the temperature gets warmer, it melts the ice, and these bright surfaces cannot reflect sunlight back into the atmosphere. Solar energy causes ocean temperatures to rise due to absorption. This limits ice growth in the colder seasons and makes ice melt faster in the summer seasons. These changes in sea ice affect the ocean's circulation, causing disruptions in global climate. This makes polar regions very susceptible to climate change. As shown in the graph, in the past 1,500 years, sea ice levels have gone far down since the year 2000. This is due to the effects of our ever-changing climate. What is the water cycle? As a basic overview, the water cycle is the process where water moves between the Earth's surface and the atmosphere. Evaporation is the first step in the water cycle. This happens when water molecules at the surface of bodies of water rise into the air. This is normally caused by some source of energy, usually the sun. The next step is condensation. This is when water vapor eventually cools down to low temperatures and are found at high altitudes. These vapors become tiny drops of water and come together to form clouds. These water vapors attach themselves onto particles' surface and become precipitation. This can be in the form of sleet, hail, snow, ice, rain, or more. The last part of the cycle is surface runoff. This is when precipitation moves across landscapes into other water sources. Ways we can help the water cycle is by conserving water resources, keeping pollutants off the ground, water, and air, and protecting our ecosystems and biodiversity. My next topic is how can melting of sea ice impact the Earth's oceans and the water cycle? According to the National Snow and Ice Data Center, the melting ice causes fresh water to be added to the seawater in the Arctic Ocean. This flows into the North Atlantic. The added fresh water makes the seawater less dense. This has caused the North Atlantic to become fresher over the past several decades and caused the currents to slow. This process causes salinity levels to rise and disrupts the ocean's circulation due to the exchange of salt between sea ice and the ocean. The melting of this ice will create higher sea levels and affect river runoff and the available freshwater resources to humans. As the ice continues to melt, ocean currents and temperature will be affected. This plays a role in the distribution of heat and affecting weather patterns and the water cycle overall. What future trends might we observe if we continue to lose sea ice due to warming? There will be severe negative impacts on our environments and our habitats if we don't do something about the melting sea ice. According to wildlife.org, we are losing sea ice at a rate of almost 13% per decade, and the thickest ice in the Arctic has declined over 90%. The ice acts as a heat reflector, and without it, we will suffer more intense heat waves all around the world due to climate change. Another impact of the melting sea ice is the rise of sea levels, putting coastal cities at risk. The ones who suffer the most from these impacts of the sea ice is the wildlife in the Arctic. They need sea ice to survive, and without it, the animals such as polar bears, reindeer, snowy owls, and many more will suffer without their habitats. Wildlife.org states that if we do not do something about the rising temperatures, the Arctic could be ice-free by 2040. How does the melting of sea ice tie into sustainability? Environmental sustainability is how humans can practice using resources in a way that meets their current needs, but also gives us the ability for future generations to meet their needs. We can all make choices to minimize the negative effects on the environment and take care of our planet for the future and the present. To minimize the negative impacts of melting sea ice, humans can practice environmental sustainability by avoiding wasting water, reducing our amount of waste we produce, using less plastic and properly disposing of it, using less fast fashion and clothes made from animals, driving less, eating less meat, eating organically, and many other ways. We can protect our Earth and specifically the Arctic if we practice sustainability.